Rent or own, Geico makes it easy to bundle home and car insurance. Go to geico.com today.
Let's get it. First down, Browns at Titans.
This was interesting because here's a team at 8-3 sitting at the Browns, and they have an opportunity to go 9-3 and continue to try and make the playoffs. But here on the other side, the Tennessee Titans are trying to do the same thing, which means they're trying to win a division. A guy like Derrick Henry, 127-yard lead on his quest for the second straight rushing title. Only 12 players have won back-to-back rushing titles in 75 years, and 11 of those guys are in the National Football League Hall of Fame. Jay Will.
As Diana Rossini said in our interview before, if the Titans get up, we will have to see what Baker Mayfield can do with his arm to get this team back in the game. We all know it's going to be a running game, but it's going to come down to the quarterback. This is Baker's time.
Second down, Giants at Seahawks.
This is one of those football games where you got to be careful if you're Seattle. You're overlooking the New York Giants. The Giants are trying to win a division, although Colt McCoy seems like he's going to have to take the reins away from Daniel Jones here for a little bit. Seattle has something to prove. Continue to build off of last week's victory. Make sure that you're doing the things that you're capable of doing. Continue to get the football to DK Metcalf. Allow him to continue to do what he's doing. Russell Wilson can continue to cook. Allow Carson to run the football. Dunlap to rush the passer. Involve Jamal Adams in the blitz game to scare Colt McCoy.
We all know I'm a Giants fan. Let me think about this really hard. Seattle at home with playoff seeds on the line against a Colt McCoy Giants and Saquon Barkley-less Giants team. I'm taking Seattle big.
Third down, Eagles at Packers.
Much like I said about the Giants and the Seahawks, here's one for the Packers. Don't fall asleep on the Eagles. Stay awake. And the reason I say that is because they're fighting for their lives. And if you take them lightly, you look up and you're down by 28 and you lose this football game at home in Lambeau. With all that being said, I don't think it's going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers coming off 4 TD passes. We're going to be watching two quarterbacks where you're going to say one's going in the opposite direction of the great one, and that is Carson Wentz versus Aaron Rodgers. Just get your popcorn ready.
Fourth down, Rams at Cardinals.
This could be the game of the week, depending on who you're asking. The Rams, 7-4, are coming off a stinker. The Cardinals, 6-5, flying all the way back from New England with a loss on their record. You got two quarterbacks out to prove something, and Kyler Murray, who needs to show that he can finally beat Sean McVay and the Rams. Sean McVay is 6-0 against the Rams since taking over as the head coach. But then, as the Rams quarterback, Jared Goff, being questioned heavily throughout the media about his performance over the last couple weeks. The games that they have lost, Jared Goff have turned the ball over ridiculous. The Rams go as Jared Goff goes. They are 1-3 this season when Goff posts a total of a QBR below 50. 6-1 when he's above 50.
Been saying this the whole year. I'm always worried about Jared Goff, the $100 million guy, his inconsistency. But I will say this. That defense that the Rams have, they can keep Kyler Murray from going outside the pocket. I mean, I think he has double-digit batted down passes this year because he's so small to see over the top of that defense. But I want to see Kyler Murray break out. Come on, Cardinals. Get the job done. Wake everybody else back up and make Key eat his words.
Bonus down, Broncos at Chiefs.
Not even thinking about the Broncos. Do they even have a quarterback? But I know the Kansas City Chiefs has a quarterback.
If you have 4 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Isn't that what they used to say?
That is correct. And I think when you look at the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs can clinch a playoff berth with the win against Denver in Kansas City. Wow. Can you believe that? The Chiefs have won 10 straight games against the Broncos. Dang, 10 straight? Patrick Mahomes is probably going to win the MVP when you look at it. The weapons that he has. I mean, what else can I talk about other than the Broncos are overmatched in this situation? The Chiefs should run away with this one.
This game is kind of like a bye. I hate to be honest. It's a bye for the Chiefs.
Stat gang, get your stats up.
Everybody, these are the games you get paid a lot of money, Key.
Get your stats up.
Let me get a couple touchdowns.
But you gotta stay crisp though. You gotta make sure you're doing everything right. You can't be out there messing around because these type of teams that's desperate, you look up and anything could happen. I don't think it will. But you just gotta be careful.
There's no doubt about it, and that is 4/5 downs. With the bonus down, we should mention the Broncos have lost 10 straight games to the Chiefs. Drew Lock should be back. He's from Lee's Summit, Missouri, right outside of Kansas City. So we'll see what happens on Sunday Night Football between those two.
You think his mother's going to the game?
Oh, stop.
No, I'm serious.
Stop.
I'm saying, do you think Drew Lock mom's going to go to the game?
It's possible.
She's right there
Yeah.
and close to it. The Kansas City people, they're playing in Kansas City.
If not, she'll be on social media. So
Indeed.
She's allowed to. It's the mother, Jay.
I didn't say there was anything wrong being on social media.
Defending her son for not wearing a mask. I get it.
All right, so you fellas said there's no chances.
Look at Zubin. All right, let's move on. I don't want to talk about that.
Not touching it.
Don't touch that. Go back to sports.
Hey, I mean, we thought it was gentle when you said, would you call my son Patrick, not Pat? The other quarterback on Sunday, his mom, a little more fiery than Patrick Mahomes' mom. She just wanted a name clarification. Laura Locke wanted a little something more. All right, so obviously this is going to be a blowout for the Chiefs. We all know that. But there are a couple of interesting games this weekend that we've really been talking about this morning, and that's what we want you to weigh in on the Dr. Pepper call-in line at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Essentially, who needs a win more? The Cardinals against the Rams, so Arizona, or the Browns sitting at 8-3 against the Titans, who are 8-3. Hit us up or on the Twitter feed, Key J and Z, and we will love to get your opinion. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Kevin Stefanski has done a great job in his first year as head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and he essentially said when a lot of coaches come in, it's all the cliches. My guys, culture, we've got to establish all of that. Stefanski was no different. The only difference, this Cleveland Browns coach that said all those things, he's actually backed it up.
I don't think I came in here or any of our coaches came in here to change a culture. We just established our own, and we just kind of explained what we're about and what we believe in. And I think, to the players' credit, I think we have a bunch of guys that believe in the same things and then want to help the team any which way they can.
So here's the point. Jay mentioned this earlier. I think it's really interesting. Could you give Kevin Stefanski serious consideration for Coach of the Year? And here's why I mention it. In a lot of other sports, the Coach of the Year, including in football, the Coach of the Year is always somebody that just exceeds expectations. If the Browns win 10 games, yeah, it's not as great as the Steelers winning 16 under Mike Tomlin. I get that. But we knew the Steelers were going to be good with the return of Ben Roethlisberger. We still didn't know what the Browns were going to be. So if they have their best season in 18 years, they make the playoffs for the first time in 18 years, and snap the NFL's longest playoff drought, relative to expectations, who's done better?
Well, are you 16-0 versus 9-7, or is it 16-0 or 15-1 versus 10-6? It's because at some point that gap is too much.
Let's call the Steelers 14-2. Let's call the Chiefs 15-1. Not perfect, right? So you take the perfect off the table. I understand 16-0 is 16-0. But let's just say a couple stubs down the road and both teams are 14-15 win teams and the Browns win 10 games, make the playoffs, shatter expectations.
Then they probably would at that point go to Kevin Stefanski. I don't have a vote, but that's what I would do. And just so Kevin Stefanski knows, Coach, you change the culture doing it your way. Just so that he knows. They may be doing it his way, but it's not the same as it was in the past. So therefore, it changed. I just want him to know that because he said they didn't come in trying to change the culture. They did it their way. Well, that's changing the culture.
Fair.
I mean, that's why I keep saying that this is a big boy game coming up. I mean, you look at this game, this will be their first pretty much signature win. They play the Ravens after that, then the Giants, the Jets, and now have to play the Steelers, and we'll see where the Steelers are at the end of the day. I think Kevin Stefanski definitely is in the conversation. He's in the conversation. Mike Tomlin's probably the leader of that conversation right now. But let me ask you this question, and I don't remember exactly what the stat was, Zubin. What was the stat of teams that have won the Super Bowl, them turning around and winning the Super Bowl the following year?
Yeah.
It's something crazy about number of years that's happened, right?
Yeah, particularly in the NFC with regards to losing the Super Bowl and then getting back. The last team to do that in the NFC, actually, believe it or not, you have to go into the hot tub time machine for that. The last team in the NFC to lose the Super Bowl, excuse me, and then get back was the Vikings, and that was in the 70s. And we were talking before.
I was still wearing diapers.
But in the AFC, what's really interesting when you think about what's going on in Cleveland, and I totally agree with you. Obviously, if Tomlin goes 16-0, I mean, you're in there with Don Shula, Bill Belichick territory, even though Shula obviously was 14-0 with the truncated regular season back in the 70s before they went to 16 games. Totally would give it to Tomlin, but I do think you have to realize in many, many cases, exceeding expectations with maybe the worst franchise in the NFL. It's a 2020 award, but there's no way you can't look at the Browns' previous history when looking at Stefanski's work in 2020, even though he just joined the organization.
I was going to say real quick, my point was going to be, and you said the NFC, I don't know where it is in the AFC, but like, when are we going to start talking about Andy Reid being in this conversation?
I was going to hand you that water.
When are we going to start talking about Andy Reid as relates to Coach of the Year? For what look.
But is he, to his credit, excuse me, I'm going to die here. You guys are going to do it the rest of the way. Is he exceeding expectations?
No.
When he says after a game, look, bro, I don't care what the score is. I got Patrick Mahomes. We're going to win this game.
No.
When you have that, your expectation was so high.
Yeah, I agree, but it's still very hard to do what they're doing right now. They finished this season only losing one game.
Yeah, but Jay, he's got so much. The expectations of Cleveland was zero.
No, I
it was
understand.
like
And
nothing.
that's my point.
And he came into a program that was basically a dumpster fire and turned it around, and they're on the brink of making